From the great halls of their house, there are assembled three who hope to one day be the world's greatest driving heroes. Created from the cosmic legends of the universe comes our team captain, the Vision, Bill Fisher, and their soon-to-be Wonder Woman, Vicki Fisher, and our Captain Marvel and head flight trainee, Jennifer Scripchuk. Their mission: to fight injustice, share what is right and wrong, to get you out of your house and come out racing with them and serve all mankind. They are the Garage Heroes in Training Team.
Welcome to the Garage Heroes in Training podcast. I'm going to be one of the hosts for this episode. My name is Bill. Who else is hosting?
I'm Vicki.
Miss Vicki.
Yes.
It's gas time.
Yes, it is.
Relatively new racer.
Mm-hmm.
Drives with the adrenaline Chunkies. Don't let autocorrect fix that for you guys. Welcome to the podcast, Bryan Lanham. Welcome.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
So you had the, there's usually two different reactions to being invited to come on the podcast. You went with the slightly less popular why, and the only thing worse is the other pronoun, like who. So since I'm so terrible at intros, maybe a brief introduction for those of us who aren't familiar with you.
Okay, sure. My name's Bryan. I'm the captain for Team Adrenaline Chunkies. So we just ran CMP 2024 this year. This was our very third race. Each race we've ran, I've had a brand new team for each race. So we are mostly rookies every year, but I think I got a pretty good team this year. So we've been doing this. We've raced Road Atlanta 2021, CMP 23, and CMP 24.
So why do you keep scaring everybody away, Bryan?
What's up with that?
You know, I sign them up. Everybody buys the gear, and then they do it once. Yeah, it's not for the faint of heart. Everybody wants to do it, but you know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking more showers, maybe. I don't know. It's up to you. I mean, you know,
when we went to Road Atlanta the very first year and we had to deal with that cold weather and that rain, I understood that one a little bit.
Yeah.
Our first trip to Road Atlanta was, well, actually, it's worked out to be our last trip to Road Atlanta, but that's not by choice.
No, not by choice.
It was
Okay.
33 degrees and raining. Everybody
terrible.
kept talking to me about Hot Atlanta, and I'm like, where is Hot Atlanta?
Where did it go?
Yeah. I will say we did learn something, though.
Oh, yeah.
Do not dry your race shoes in a commercial dryer.
A commercial dryer. Oh, my. At the hotel, huh?
No, we actually went to a laundromat and used a commercial
We were
dryer.
soaking,
and
that's all we had.
And because we needed them dry for the next day. And then the next day I needed to rent shoes because the dryer turned them into several pieces of whatever leather.
Oh, that's what happened. Shoot them up. Okay.
Yeah.
Commercial blender.
Apparently the adhesive is good for fires, but not for dryers. But that's different.
Nice.
That's good. So 3 years. Do you have any that have members have stuck around?
I have members that are usually they're typically interested. And then as you know, you get closer to a race, I'm 35 and I got a lot of my drivers from the first year about my age, and things just kind of happen, whether it be live or kids and events, work schedules. So as you get about 2 to 3 months out, you kind of start realizing who can join and who you have to kind of grab last minute. Yeah, so it seems like we've always just kind of somewhat cobbled a team together. This year, I've after doing it a few times, people who know me kind of understand what this is and what's involved. So people who are kind of semi-interested, who become more interested, are like, yeah, I think I would do that. So yeah, when somebody's interested when they agree to be on your team, and then within a month, they probably spent more on their gear than you spent on your car.
Yeah.
So I think this year I've got a pretty good pretty good team. Yeah, we went out and raced with my guys this year. They, I'll tell you more about my team later, but I'll just quickly mention that they are all three faster than me, at
Oh.
least in the rain.
That doesn't
I'll be the
matter.
wrench, and they could be the driver.
That's okay. So 3 races, 3 cars, 2 cars, 1 car?
3 races, 2 cars. So let's see. Back in 2021, June 2021, whenever this bad idea became not just a bad idea, but a financially bad idea, we bought our first Lemons car, a Subaru wagon, 98 Subaru wagon, which had the 5-speed, but no turbo.
That's probably better for you.
Yeah, this is an excellent beginner platform. And so when I bought that in June, we said, okay, we got till June to December to build a race car for this race that we've never, ever, ever done before. Read the rule book, took me 2 days to read because I can't read too good. And by December, we passed tech inspection. I can't believe it. It's hard to think about now how much goes into going from a not car, getting it repaired, and then getting it tech inspection while working a full-time job.
I was going to say June to December sounds like a lot of time, but is not a lot of time.
Yeah. Yeah, that, it seems like every time I build a new car, it's always 2 months before it gets to crunch time. You can't sleep because you're thinking, oh my gosh, everybody paid all this money. And are we even going to be able to pass tech inspection? Or are they just going to book, beat us right there and then say, see y'all next year? So as a captain, that's kind of probably one of the most stressful things about being a captain is making sure all your team members get something from the money that they had to pay.
Yeah. Well, usually the people in the Lemons paddock won't let you fail tech permanently.
Yeah.
Which means they will save you if needed. And I'm not saying they won't make fun of you. I'm just saying they'll usually help you out and get you through. So it's not terrible.
Okay, that's good advice for anybody that's new and thinking about doing this.
Yeah. Well,
and every year we wind up bringing welders and grinders and cutters, knowing we're going to, now I know I'm going to pass tech inspection, but like you said, I'll start bringing it just in case somebody else needs it. I got room in my trailer.
Yeah, usually it's in the pit somewhere. Like there's at least an engine hoist somewhere. There's at least a welder somewhere. There's just about everything you need except for exotic car parts. But
yeah, that too.
But that's hopefully you don't need parts. But that's a different thing.
That's right.
So
we ran the Subaru in 2021. So we built that to look like a Ghostbuster. And they gave us a shout out or a quick scene in the Lemons wrap up.
Yes, they did.
December, at Road Atlanta 2021. And then life happened in 2022 and missed it. We went to the block party in 2022 at the for CMP. So I live in South Carolina, so that was a little bit closer. I don't think they actually, trying to remember if they had if they ran CMP. I don't think they ran CMP in 2021.
I think they missed it one year.
Right. I think they ran the Road Atlanta. So when I found out in 2022 they were going to have it and they were going to have it in April, I tried to piece my team together then. And again, nothing, it kind of fell out. So me and my wife, we weren't playing, we didn't race that year, but we still went to the block party just to kind of witness the awesome shenanigans and shenanigans that was a lot of fun. That's when we first met the Winded Warriors and kind of became friends with Chris and his wife Rose. So wanted to do 2022. We promised we're coming back for 2023. We ran the Subaru in 2023 with some really shoe drivers, like some great drivers. I had 2 drivers that year that race Miatas. They'll race it on CMP, like high performance, like 240 horsepower Miatas. So they race on CMP quite a lot. They got hours for that track. So I put them in a all-wheel drive Subaru wagon, and they said it was different, but it sure was fun. Different from what they're used to, when you get to do an endurance race and stay in the car for an hour and a half versus only doing a 15-20 minute track session, they were all about that.
It's so much
So
fun.
it's a blast, absolute blast.
Hmm.
After we raced that year, we had realized quickly that something has to happen. Either this is a Subaru wagon. It's got body roll for days. It's quite underpowered. It's heavy. Just there's no performance when it comes to it, but it's an excellent beginner's car. About 2 weeks coming home from CMP and doing okay, we said, what are we going to do? Do we need to put this thing on a diet? Do we really need to do an engine swap or a turbo? What can we do to make next year even better? And just looking at how the Ghostbuster was built, it would have ruined it to take anything off of it, because I'm thinking, we could take glass out, or we can, completely change the theme and just, I think we race a BMW that used to be a wagon that's cut into a Ute and has a LS in the front. So that's the bookend on what you could do. But we said, no, this theme is too good for this car. Let's just post this on the Lemons forums. And I couldn't believe it. Within like a week or two, I had a family from Charleston contact me and said that they were interested in it. So they came up to take a look at it, kind of fell in love with it, and said, yeah, we want to do lemons and we want to have something that was tech inspected. So they actually went to CMP that year and witnessed the Ghostbuster run. They were with another team. Was a Toyota Celica that looked like Captain Planet. And so they were helping them out and running comms for them. And, they said, this is awesome. We got to get in this, but we need a car that's been tech inspected, which kind of opens the door, saves a lot of stress. So they said, hey, we saw the Ghostbuster. No problems, right? I said, no. I mean, other than the fact that we lost the exhaust on the racetrack the last day, and now it's a little loud, but it sounds good. So they said, okay. So they came up and looked at it. Long story short, they bought the Ecto 25, drove that all the way to Charleston with no exhaust, and began their journey on what would soon be its next race in December 2023. So if anybody's seen that wrap up video of the Ghostbuster of 2023, they would have seen Randy Popes driving that for the first 2 hours of that race, and then witnessing a Grand Marquis spinning out on the track and Randy not being able to avoid it, and then smashing into it. So understanding that this team bought the car, took it to Road Atlanta, and got to do the Friday practice, but actually didn't even get to race it that Saturday or Sunday because they spent the whole weekend trying to get somewhere where they could fix it. And they actually found a donor car they thought they could use. Showed up to the junkyard, checked out the donor car, and it got smashed in the exact same spot.
Ah,
yeah, terrible.
Oh,
So anyways, so that was the we got to see them again in 2024, spoiler alert. So it was amazing getting to see the Ghostbuster run again in 2024. But so when we had sold the Ghostbuster maybe a month after racing CMP in 23, the hunt was on to go find a new car. And so having a Miata of my own and two people that had just raced with me racing Miatas, I was like, what better platform? We race Miatas at CMP and they seem to just fly by, and they don't, we're thinking it doesn't require engine mods. It's light. It's not extremely fast, but if you know how to drive them, you can be extremely fast with them. So that seemed like a pretty great platform. So that's what we found. And that's what we found May 2023. And so from May 2023 to April 2024, I spent that whole year getting what's now the Ninja Turtle Miata ready and on its very first run.
Do you do the cage, or do you get some help on that?
I for both vehicles, I reached out to Roll Cage Components. Those guys have helped me out for both, and they would send me the cage, and I would say, hey, could you send me photos, kind of what these cages look like once they're actually in lemon spec cars, and they'll send me photos. So shout out to those guys who help us out. So that keeps the cost down when they send it to me. And then I'm just crazy enough to decide I'm gonna cut it, notch it, and weld it in the car myself. So so far we've passed tech inspection. I think the very first year I had to touch up a couple holes.
360
yeah,
weld.
this last that's right. That's what I mean. Touch up some holes in the welds. And then this year we made it through pretty flawlessly. I kind of learned my lesson. Don't leave anything to question. Just go ahead and weld it and make it look good. So
Indeed.
So what what is your origin story? What got you into deciding that racing was something you'd want to do?
oh gosh. Okay. I spend a lot of my time watching YouTube and Motor Trend, watching these guys like Freiberger, Finnegan, Chris Fix.
Bill, we found your guy.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. All of our bad influences. So but I've always grown up watching a lot of these Power Block TV whenever I was a kid, always wanting to do something like this, but never really quite having the finances to do it. I've always had a interest in cars, not necessarily going fast, but just to tinker and modify and build. Just growing up being a Lego head my whole life, and then I joined the Air Force in 2012 and got to work on jets from 2012 to 2018. Once I finished that, I came back home, and then immediately after I came back home, kind of was talking to my parents about, my next steps, what I want to do. I eventually wound up buying their house and building a shop. Well, my father helped me build a shop in our backyard, so it's a 2-bay shop with a lift, so I could, do
Tinker.
things like tinker. At the age of 16, I told my buddy this story today. At the age of 16, I got a welding machine for Christmas because that's just who I am. I like doing things like this. And I'm not a welder by trade at all. I actually work at a nuclear facility. I'm a control room operator, so I sit behind a desk and type away. I was in high school working at an automotive shop, at a dealership, really. And you'll work with any salty mechanics, and they'll say, "Man, you don't want to do this. If you enjoy this, don't do this for a living. Do it as a hobby."
So, do you know the Prompt Critical guys?
Prompt Critical. I do not.
They're another Lemons team they work at a nuclear plant.
They do.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I thought, and they're from that region, I believe, right, Bill?
Nope.
Or are they in the north?
They're South Jersey.
Okay, sorry.
South Jersey. Okay.
There you go. Sorry, a little close
That's
there.
right.
So you're a tinkerer. That's awesome.
That's right.
We need some tinkerers. We need somebody who knows what they're doing, actually.
I would not claim I know what I'm doing, but
That's fine. Neither do we.
you break something
Yeah.
6 or 7 times, you figure out what not to do to break it.
That's right.
Learning by failure. That's all my degrees.
Yeah. And I figure, my motto is, going to give it a shot. And if I really screw it up, then I'll call somebody in.
That's right. The beautiful thing about Lemons is if you've ever wanted to do something with a car, like fix dents or paint something, do it to a Lemons car, because who
Right.
cares?
Right.
So that was kind of one of my big motivators too. Like I said, I've always thought I wanted to do paint and body, and then I did a little bit on a Lemons car and said, nope.
Yeah.
I think this last car we roll painted a lot of it. So
Well, yeah.
this is all just going to get dented anyway, but it actually comes out pretty good. We actually had one of the cleaner cars at this last CMP race.
We'll save you from listening to a podcast episode that's going to come out plus or minus when this one comes out. We did the spray plasti dip. That's not the way to do it. Just cross that one off the potential to-do list.
I'm guessing y'all are probably going over 70 miles an hour, which I'm sure that wouldn't hold up.
Oh, it held up. The problem was well, especially when you have a Lemons car, you work on it, right? And if you get any kind of oils or
Mm,
grease or anything on it. You
mm.
can't really use a solvent to get it off. So you're kind of stuck with kind of looks like a dirty diaper by the end of the race. So
A little smelty. Yeah.
yeah, that's
Mhm.
not the best. So we didn't think about that part, but that's okay.
Okay.
It came
That
out
was something
nice
we
until it
considered
wasn't.
doing too, was classy dip. But
Yeah.
yeah, glad we didn't do that. So usually what I found works best is to get to Walmart and get the Rust-Oleum cans.
Hmm.
Don't get
Mhm.
anything special order, because as soon as you need to do some touch-up paints, then you got to go back online and get your special order paint and then go do
Mhm.
that instead of just running to Walmart and getting farm fence yellow. Just
Yep.
Yeah.
It's easier
mhm,
that way.
that's
So
right.
So you started getting into racing. Did you have any kind of experience at all?
I, um, no, not at all. What?
See, he's
Maybe
where we
witness.
were, honey, except that he has some idea of how things work.
yeah, he was way ahead of us.
Think I might have went to one drag race before I went and did anything like this. Just driving, being in high school and driving cars fast. I like to always say there's two types of racers, or people that grew up wanting to do racing. There's the ones that played the Mario Kart and the ones that played the actual real racing games. And I,
Right.
I always grew up playing Mario Kart. So I just,
Lemons
that's
was
why
perfect.
exactly. Lemons is perfect because it's fun and it's racing versus just taking it way too seriously. So that's right up my alley.
So I
That
got this question. So did you walk into the house and ask your wife and say, "Hey, I got this really, really stupid idea, but hear me out."
Oh gosh, let's see if I can even remember how this. She's actually totally supportive on this crazy thing, and you always introduce by saying, it's just a $500 car.
Yeah.
It's
that's
That,
it's the
the best
cheapest
way.
yeah.
racing you could do. You spend about $4 or $5,000 at minimum building it, and then you realize what you've actually done.
Yep.
Like,
And
oh,
that
don't worry, I'll get the team to help me pay for it. But ultimately at the end of the day, it's your car. So you're like, do I really need to ask them for $1,000 a piece or like $200 a piece? Like, where's the line? So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm totally blessed that she went to this last race with us. I mentioned before that she went to the block party with me. So she's starting to really dig the lemons thing. And after this year, she's like, okay, so all my crew is asking me, when are we going to do another race? When are we going to do another race? We're going to do Road Atlanta. And then she's over there beside. I'm like, yeah, are we going to do it? Are we going to do Road Atlanta?
Ah, look at
And I
her.
was like, okay, all right, great.
I think
And then
I
I
think
told her Road Atlanta is wet and cold, and she said, never mind.
Well, I will definitely support the bringing the better half. It makes things so much easier.
Yes, it does.
So still relatively early in your racing career, but let's pretend that we're planning something. You have any goals going forward? You anything you want to do? Any places you want to be? Any cars you want to race
Mm.
in?
So this may be, if we go to Road Atlanta this year, this will be a first for us by doing two races in one year. So we are planning on doing Road Atlanta. I know it's going to be miserable, but I think that'll be kind of our first major obstacle, is doing two in one year.
Hmm.
Um, Outside of that, um, I had something, then I just completely lost where I was going with it.
Sounds like
so
Um,
most of our races.
you're gonna do Road Atlanta, and then do you have any other tracks lined up that you're interested in?
see, Barber really interests me. The Winded Warrior team, they're from Alabama, not too far from Barber, and I've always heard that the Barber facility is just really, really nice.
Hmm.
Um, so that would be something I would like to do. I would like to kind of possibly one day reach out to other tracks. Right now, I'm borrowing my brother's truck, and my father's enclosed trailer to do my transporting of all my tools and my vehicle. So I kind of am at the mercy of them
He's
Mm-hmm.
way
for
ahead of us.
doing transport.
Right?
So
I will
yeah, the first
say
year we took the flat trailer, and that was rough.
you can uh you can always rent from Enterprise Commercial. They do nice trucks, and then the U-Haul depleted uranium open trailer is an option. It just weighs about twice as much as your car does.
Well, twice as much as a Miata is not too bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. That's
So
that's actually a really good idea.
we've got lots of dumb ways to get to the track, so that's okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So when did you first hear about lemons, or when did you start saying this looks like something stupid that I want to do?
Um, I think the very first time, I don't actually even remember. I watched the Roadkill episodes and they built the Rotson specifically for a Lemons car. And I thought that was always a cool build. And they showed it in the series multiple times since, but you kind of forget its origins on why they built it. You just know that's a rusty Datsun, and you're like, oh, that's awesome. And then they put a turbo in it, and it's oh, that's awesome. But you forget the reason why it was built was to actually race this endurance race called 24 Hours of Lemons. And it wasn't quite until what was it? I think honestly, it was Chris Fix that started talking about doing the Lemons event in New Jersey.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, well, if the roadkill guys are doing it on the West Coast and Chris Fix is on the Upper East Coast and he's doing it too, like, well, where does this thing actually go? Like, how far does it travel? Because I think of other dumb ideas like the Gambler 500, and I'm like,
Yep.
man, that would be awesome too, but that's not anywhere in the East Coast, at least not that I've found. I don't think there's a chapter over here that does something quite that silly or dumb. But if that ever happens, anybody can reach out to me and sign me up. That would be cool. But after I watched a little bit of Chris Fix's video, and I was like, okay, let's get on this Lemons webpage and see where they have these races, see if there's anything close to me. And that's when I found out that it was at Road Atlanta back in 21. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so close to me. Like, I'd never even heard of Road Atlanta. I tell people all the time that my very first race car experience at all was at Road Atlanta, and they're like, oh my gosh, that's such an iconic track, did you even know that? And I was like, no, I had no idea. It's a racetrack in Atlanta as far as I was concerned.
What did you feel
Wow.
like when you were pulling into Road Atlanta the first time?
uh
Because that entryway
well
is kind of intimidating.
of course, I'm a Lemons driver, so I got lost on the way into. They said, all right, you need to go this way, and so I go the opposite way. So I was like, eventually finding our way. And again, we're all brand new drivers. We're driving my buddy's Suburban and a trailer that has no sides, no top, with our janky Subaru wagon, wondering what the heck we're doing here. And then we quickly realized while rolling through the paddock that $500 is a pretty loose term when it comes to this limit thing.
Some
I
of
was like,
it's
oh my
$500.
goodness. Yeah, some parts are $500.
Yeah.
And then, I could barely even focus on the track because I'm just sitting there wondering, what are we doing? What did we sign up for? Can we pass tech inspection? Did I just waste everybody's money? So once the initial nerves settled that we were actually going to race, because obviously were late we showed up on Friday late for our tech inspection, and as you do. And once we got it all said and done, we are like, oh, thank goodness. Wait, it's about to rain. We need to go check into or no, we didn't even know. So that night we brought tents. So we went about as primitive as you could get. And, Road Atlanta, you're on the asphalt, you're in the parking lot. So we stayed in tents, one night, and said, nope, that was fun. Let's never do this again. And then the second night we stayed in the hotel and said, yeah, that's what you got to do.
There's quite a nice hotel at Road Atlanta, about 8 miles away, I think it is. It was quite fun.
Is it looking to end?
No, what do you remember the name of Vicki?
No.
I want to say it was a Hilton, but I don't remember. It was
Okay.
something Hampton, something.
Mhm.
Anyway, all right. So there's going to be some pictures associated with the podcast and YouTube posting and all that good stuff of your
Mhm.
car. Let's describe this, normal, just, standard light blue Miata that you had.
Light blue Miata?
Oh, wait, maybe it's not light blue. It's not light blue, is it? I don't think that's right.
It's what is it? Go ahead, Bill.
Sir, your theme was spectacular.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. That's our Ninja Turtle. It's green and yellow, bright orange roll cage. You can't miss it.
No, not at all. So the former Mario Kart racer drives a turtle shell. That's kind of
That's right.
appropriate. That's kind of appropriate. I think that might be.
That's right. Turtle power.
Exactly.
Turtle power.
So was CMP the first one for the Miata?
That's right. CMP was the very first one for this Miata for this theme. And I think going forward, we're going to probably keep this theme at least for a couple more years. The themes are hard. They say numbers are hard, but themes are hard because you got to come up with something that either nobody's heard of, that no one will get, or what do they say? If you do something that's been done before, you better do it good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we try to shoot for. Something that honestly, as a 10-year-old mind of mine, I want something that if I'll build these and I'll get them registered so that I can take them to car shows because I don't, if I do one race a year and I got to keep this crazy looking character of a car trapped inside the garage the rest of the year, I don't, that doesn't sound fun to me. I want to go drive this thing on the road. I want to pick up my girls from school in this wacky, crazy car, which I've done in the Ghostbuster. And I've actually started today to install the second seat into the Miata. So, yeah, just the characters of the cars it's something that I just absolutely enjoy. I always tell people I build fun cars. I don't build fast cars, but I build fun cars. So,
Gosh.
we're gonna try and keep good themes rolling. Like I said, this one will probably stick as a Ninja Turtle for a couple years until we come up with something else.
Mm-hmm.
So what was it like when you had to pick up your girls with the car? They're just like, "Oh my God, Dad."
Oh, I think that it was funny. The very first time I went and picked up my my daughter from middle school, I was driving the Ghostbuster in, and it was close to Halloween. And for some reason, somebody had to drive an orange McLaren to go pick up their daughter that day from school too. And
Uh-huh.
I felt ecstatic that more kids were pointing at the Ghostbuster than they were the supercar.
Oh wow.
So I felt like I won that one. So
For much less than half the price.
yeah, a little less.
Yeah.
Oh, and these cars are excellent for like doing trunk or treats and stuff like that too. We love signing up for church trunk or treats, and everybody comes up to it. The kids just see a fun car, then the adults come up and they're like, "Why?
What the heck?
What? Like, yeah, it's a cool car, but what and why? Do you do this for just trunk or treat?" And I'm like, no, it's actually themed racing, and so you have to explain that to the few adults that are just completely baffled. Why would you put a roll cage on a car and then bring it to trunk or treat? That seems over the top.
Yes.
We're
Yes,
really
it is.
we're hardcore trunk or treaters from way back.
That's right.
We take
So
our trunk or treat seriously.
Super seriously.
so CMP versus Road Atlanta, they're almost the same track. It's just, a little further north, right?
Almost identical.
Almost.
Oh my gosh. The man, I would actually love to race Road Atlanta in good weather just to kind of really witness it. When we went, I say this, I joke on Road Atlanta. The year we went, we actually had really good weather the second day. I think we had a little bit of a fog delay that morning, but the sun came out and everybody said that was probably the best it had been in a very long time. And that was 2021. Yeah, that back hill drop where it seems like you fall 7 stories and take a hard turn to the right,
Mhm.
doing that in an all-wheel drive slow Subaru felt like I was at my limit. So thinking that I'm even going to try and attempt that in this Miata uh with just, so light rear-wheel drive and possibly wet, it's that's probably one of my biggest fears is just sliding out at that one point. But
Right. Well, I mean, it's the easiest way to have to change your theme.
that's right.
So what was it like just hopping on a track for the first time? And like who went out first? Was it you who had gone out first? And what was that like for you?
I always try to lead. I always try to go out first. And then each year I typically finish as well. This last year I had one of my other drivers finish because I went out and ran a completely soaking wet racetrack at CMP, did enough sliding and realized I've had enough. Um, Also, there was some woes at CMP of 2024. I'll get into that in just a minute. But just, the very first time you get behind the wheel of the car, thank goodness they just take you around the track in yellow. Smart people would sign up for the Friday test driving, so that way everybody gets an idea of what in the world they're doing on this track, what the track looks like. But we were broke and naive, and so we said, well, we'll figure it out when we get out there. So just riding around the track, 3 or 4 laps in yellow. And, when you say yellow, you think, okay, you're going nice and easy. And I'm like, well, I'm going around this track and, top speed is probably about 70 miles an hour. I'm thinking this is almost interstate speeds. And then, these cars are still the ones that are leading me. I'm trying to keep up with them because I got somebody on my bumper. It's no passing, but it still felt kind of fast if you've never done this before at all. And then you get the surprise of what happens when they drop that green flag. All these pieces of junk just start flying past you like you're standing still. And I was like, oh my goodness. I had one of my crew members tell me he was on the sidelines witnessing, watching what was going on. And he said his stomach fell down. He said, I almost threw up, just watching how fast these other cars were going past you. And I was like, yeah, it's a shame we only brought one rear view mirror. But probably should have fixed that. But check inspection guy said you should get this fixed, and then he said, "But you passed." And I was like, "Great, who needs it?" Yeah, we spent most of our time looking through our mirrors, wondering who's coming up behind us and who's going to fly past us. And oh my gosh, that was such a crazy rush. And then I get my Brave drivers to hop in, and they said, "Yeah, man, we took this thing 100 miles an hour on the back straight." And I was like, "You did what?" They said, "Yeah, 100 miles an hour." And I was like, "No, no."
What?
Why? I was like, I built this thing. I know what it looks like underneath. I wouldn't drive it 100 miles an hour. Maybe that's why I'm the slow driver, because I've seen what everything looks like underneath. And I was like, nope, not doing that. So eventually, the second day, I actually got to hit triple digits, where they were like, yeah, we started pushing it to 110. It's like, oh my gosh, you guys are crazy.
What was the first reaction to going through the kink at speed?
Okay. So at speed with the Ghostbuster is kind of, I didn't really understand it until I started talking to, because I wouldn't go through it at speed. Everybody wanted that line, but we were so slow that I kind of stayed left of it.
Okay.
Now, this year was the very first time we could actually go through speed. And I will tell you, we didn't get to race much at all Saturday. We raced Sunday at CMP, and it was just crazy, crazy rain. So, yeah, I still haven't quite been able to go through the kink at speed in a medium fast car. So, that'll just have to be a bucket list for another day. But I had all my other drivers tell me, it's raining, it's crazy, but they're still going flat out through the kink. I was like, you guys have lost your minds.
So did you go in with a concept of how to race on a track and how to handle a car?
No, not really. I did stupid driving in high school to kind of feel like I could get myself out of trouble if I start to go through a slide,
Right.
to get me out of danger, really. But that's the beautiful thing about Lemons is you don't have to have any experience, and you just gotta pay a little cash and pass
It's on the
tech
job
inspection, and
learning.
yeah, don't let anybody get out there. That's what I have to keep preaching to my crew. It's like, you think, I don't do any racing simulator stuff like that. Since I've raced, I've hopped on simulators, and it is just, it's alien to me. Now, my crew that ran with me this year, they're all sim racer guys, and they are great at racing, and they didn't mind sitting in the car for an hour and a half. My first 2 years racing, I get about a half an hour in that car, and it's so stimulating for me. And I'm like, yeah, I got to get out. I got to have a break. And that's what I've learned, is that people who aren't used to that are kind of where I'm at, versus like people who race simulators and can, will sit in that seat and do endurance racing for 2-3 hours at a time.
Right.
They're used to it. They're fine with it. So I guess I'm gonna have to bite the bullet and get me a race sim one day, just so I can stand to be in the car longer than half an hour. If we want to compete, that's what I'm gonna have to do.
It's
Yeah, so you
mental overload.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
for me.
at least they got you have a team that had a version of training. So they obviously understood the track before they had gotten on. But
Their learning curve over my learning curve was way sharper. Like they picked it up no time and they were ready for it and they got right on it. And I'm almost to the point where I think they could obviously they can outdrive me because, like I said, Sunday I raced for maybe half an hour before they ring the hour bell for quiet hours.
Mm-hmm.
I was on the track for half an hour and I did so much sliding that day just in that half hour that it kind of unnerved me. And I said, I don't like this. Like cars are passing me because I'm going slow because I'm driving too cautiously. I said, if you guys want to do this, then y'all can do it. And as soon as they agreed, the last 3.5 hours were going to be just the other three drivers. They looked at each other and they said, hour and a half, hour and a half, hour and a half. So they locked and loaded and they were ready for it. So
I love that.
yes, that was them driving was the highlight of my my trip this year.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it doesn't sound, and this is in no way meant to be negative. It doesn't sound like you were the pinnacle of preparedness for going out on track. Let's just go with that. So have you had the worst ever feeling when you're coming up to a turn and you don't know whether it's a right or a left? Because that is the thing that drives me absolutely batty. It only happened once and I lost it. Couldn't.
I don't think I've had that situation. Knock
That's
on
good.
wood. Thank God I haven't had that situation yet. Like I said, so far it's only been Road Atlanta. That one was pretty easy to learn pretty quickly.
Mhm.
CMP was a little more complex, but I mean, like I said, when you're not in first place and you got cars in front of you, you just follow the pack.
Right. And CMP is kind of
Um,
flat, so you can see most of it.
that's right. Yeah,
So,
yeah. No races I don't think I've done have that blind of a turn,
mm,
but I can imagine just how petrified I would be,
it's
not
less
knowing
than
if I was
fun.
what's going to happen.
It's
Yeah.
less than fun. So you sit there and you're setting up for a nice right hand turn. All of a sudden the track goes left, and you're like, oh, this is very different.
Oh my
This is
gosh.
this is not good. So,
Yeah.
So
um,
we love new racers. And when you are experiencing these three races, there is definitely a learning curve that takes place to go and do this. What are some of the things that you found that went wrong? And then much like we did in our very early on when we were going through this, what went wrong, what went right, and what could you do better for the next race? Like just even like little things.
Yeah. Endurance racing, and it's unlike any other racing. So, you know, you're trying your best to keep the car alive. The beauty of having a registered car is that you can go out and you can take it on the highways and you can test everything before you show up. You know what I mean? Not everybody
Mm-hmm.
gets that chance to do that. That's why they spend so much time racing Friday. And then view racing Friday as, I got this much time before this car dies. I don't want to waste any of it on laps that don't count. So, um, what went wrong? I think the first year just being miserable because we had nowhere to um huddle, nowhere to stay dry.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, Road Atlanta was a little bit harsh. The first day it rained a lot.
mhm.
So bringing an enclosed trailer and just being able to have people kind of gather in there went
Mm-hmm.
went uh went really well. That's what we do now every year. We'll bring an air mattress, throw it in the trailer, and that'll just be our camper.
Mm-hmm.
That's worked for CMP for the last 2 years.
Mhm.
Also, um, we have old generators. We haven't upgraded our generators. Having power is so important that when we go to CMP, we also rent the garage bays because they have the plugins there, which
Mhm.
allows
Mm-hmm.
you it allows you to plug stuff in. Every year we wind up making a new list of, what did we forget? What are we not going to forget next year? What can we do better? Nothing's really gone catastrophically wrong where we just haven't been able to race. But I will go ahead and bring it up that this year we brought the Miata out to the racetrack. Well, we'll start by saying I had test driven this car plenty of times. Um, prior to bringing it to CMP. I would drive it, I would say maybe 300 miles. That's about 2 tanks of gas for a Miata. So it seemed like everything on it ran fine. And we took it to the block party. Everything did great there too, brought it back. And then my first 3 laps on Saturday, real racing, I completely lost power in the car and wondering what in the world is going on. So I actually thought I had shifted into fifth gear when really what I did was shifted into third gear. But I was like, obviously I misshifted because I got no power around this turn. Brought my car back into the pits, or into the paddock, into the garage area, and tried to do a quick driver swap. And we couldn't even get the car to crank back up and stay alive. And we said, okay, the car's broken. What's going on? And we spent all day Saturday diagnosing. We diagnosed fuel systems. We diagnosed timing. We took timing covers off, checked timing belts. Sitting there thinking, if the car's not cranking up, what do you need? You need spark, fuel, compression. So we checked compression, went to O'Reilly's, got a compression tester because we were running out of options on, what else could be wrong with this car. We kept hooking up a timing light to it to check, and the timing light was, you got 10 degrees, 0 degrees, and then it was like way over here, maybe at like negative 30 or 40 degrees. Like, this is way off. Wondering what's happened. To the point where, like I said, this was the first 3 or 4 laps of the day, and I was stumped. By the end of the day, the cars are coming off the track. They already hit checkered flag. Cars are coming off the track. And I was just like, I got to get away from this car for a little bit. I want to go talk to other teams just so I can stop looking at this car. I'm so sick of trying to diagnose what in the world could it be. And I was, spent some of that day actually looking up Miata engines because I was like, obviously it's got to be something with the car. We ran a compression check on each cylinder and they were all saying 30 PSI versus 130 where you want to be. And I was like, not all pistons die at the same time to the same level. There's got to be something more that we're not seeing. Fortunately, one of my crew members knows Miatas inside and out. He said, let's just look at timing one more time. I said, hey, these guys pay good money to be here. I'll do it. I'll do anything. I'll stay up all night trying to fix this thing if that's what you want to do. He said, yeah, let's check timing one more time. So we popped the valve cover off, look at the timing belt, and we got it to top dead center, and we looked at the intake and exhaust cams. So exhaust cam is pointing directly to the right, like a 3 o'clock position. But the intake cam, he said the intake cam should be pointing directly left at like the 9 o'clock position. He said, but it's kind of pointed down. He said, that's weird. He said, these are symmetrical engines. They don't need to be pointing the same direction. And I said, yeah, I hear you, but look at these timing marks. All these timing marks are correct. And he said, we can't just rely on that. He's like, let's take this timing sprocket off this camshaft and see what's going on behind it. They got it set up to where it can be put in 360 degrees divided by 3. You get 3 spots that you can clock it in. So we took that off, and lo and behold, we found that the sprocket and the camshaft, where there's a alignment pin, had spun and broke that alignment pin.
Oh,
I don't know how
no.
something like that breaks, but all of a sudden we found out, oh my gosh, this has to be the problem. Where alignment pin, where camshaft sprocket would go on the camshaft.
Is that little Jesus pin?
It's just a little nub of a pin. Yeah.
Okay. I know what you're talking about.
And somehow it sheared it, and it spun it slightly. And I said, how does that even happen?
How would you find that?
And he found it because he said these lobes aren't
Holy cow.
pointed in the right direction. And I was like, only you would be able to find this thing. So
oh my God, he's good. He's
yes,
really good.
he's very good. I still owe him a steak dinner because of that, our guys got to race on Sunday. Thank goodness. So like I said, that was kind of the worst nightmare for team captains, that your guys don't get to race. Mm-hmm. So we sit there and we think, okay, let's put this thing back on. Let's get it aligned where it kind of needs to be. We'll find the upper range of torque. We'll torque it to that and maybe give it just a little bit more squeeze. And yeah, we cranked it up in the paddock that night. That's when everybody had already been about two or three drinks in, and then they heard the Ninja Turtle crank up because they had seen it on jack stands the whole day, and the garage paddock went crazy when they found out that we were actually cranked up and we were running. So we were pumped. We were excited. Finally, we get to call our drivers and tell them, "Hey, guess what? Don't go home because we're going to actually race tomorrow." So they were
That's
excited. We get to
awesome.
go walk around to the other teams that, we'd been talking to earlier that day, told them, "Hey, sorry, you're going to have competition tomorrow. We're going to make it on the track." So yeah, that was our highs and lows. So always bring a subject matter expert. That's what you need to do. That's the tip.
Not that easy.
No,
Oh,
no. We had other Miata people there. We were kind of thanks to Stall Wars, they helped us out a bunch. We just about killed our battery testing all the systems. And they had two jumper packs. They were in another Miata, and we were kind of borrowing parts from them, like, "Hey, does this part work on your car? Can you get it to crank with this one?" And they were like, "Yeah, this part works." And so we kept troubleshooting that way, killing our battery, and those guys lent us little battery packs that saved our lives. I remember looking at my battery charger right over there against the wall, thinking, "No, I could bring that, but there's no reason to. I'm not going to need that." It's the tool that you leave behind that's going to dictate what's going to break or what you're going to need. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing that drives me absolutely batty is when I have the part or I have the tool and it's not there.
And it's not there. Yeah, I didn't have my timing light, and I didn't have my booster pack. But the beautiful thing about Lemons is that everybody there was just so gracious to help us. Just all the teams that found out, and you go and ask them for a tool. If they didn't have it, they'd help you go try and find it. So I mean, that's such a cool thing with Lemons. I love it.
Yeah, we'd much rather see you out on track than sitting in the paddock. It's more fun for everybody.
Way more fun.
Captain's log supplemental.
Hey, Jeremy, you know those race cars you're busy building?
Yeah, I do. I got one that I'm looking at every day.
You know what I don't see you working on?
You don't see me working on the amazing Sentinel system yet.
That's true. It would take all of 10 minutes for you to have one.
And it's very quick and easy to install.
It is. It is. And we could watch you when we are not at the race with you and see how you're doing. And then we can call you up when you get out of the car and tell you everything you did wrong.
And I love that because so many years I've been driving and not been able to see what I'm doing.
I know.
And now we can.
I know. You know what I'd like to do with the video? My most favorite thing is I take the video and I load it on YouTube, and then I send it to my coach and say, "Look at 26 minutes and 17 seconds. Look at this one lap and tell me what I can do better." And every single time, you know what they say?
Everything.
Exactly. Precisely. So with the Sentinel system, you get instantaneous feedback plus useful feedback that unfortunately is accurate for my driving.
I think it's accurate for all of our driving.
Pretty much. Yeah, that's probably true. Yep. But you need to get one in your car, sir.
Yes, I do. And with the discount code that you're going to tell everybody, they can save 10% on this awesome system.
Yep. Trouble-free. I haven't had an issue getting video every time we've gone out with the Sentinel. It's always worked. Can't say the same for some of the other systems we've tried. So I don't know. It's on the podcast notes down there. Don't do it while you're driving, though. We like to have our listeners live. It's good. So your beautiful bride needs to start racing, sir.
I've tried to teach her stick. She refuses to learn. I had her drive my I told her I needed her to drive my car from the garage to over to my parents' house, which is just next door. But she actually did that. She did that one time. So I tell her, I'm like, "I know you can drive stick. You've done it once before." She says, "Moving it from here to there doesn't count." And
It's
I keep
easier
reminding
to
her.
race.
I said, "If you can get out of first gear, the rest of the gears are easy."
Yeah. Yeah,
So
it's
that would
easier to
be,
race a stick than drive a stick around town.
we went to Grid Life that was at CMP.
Mhm.
My Miata driver, uh, he was the one that we were kind of there to go witness and watch because he was driving his high powered Miata there, and he let me sit in the passenger seat of his car, and he flew around that track. Felt like he was about to rip my face off. I don't know how in the world somebody like that trusts that much grip in their tires going
Mhm.
sideways. So but he let me sit in the car while that was going on, and we even tried to get my wife. He said, "Hey, borrow your husband's helmet. Just hop in and let me take you around." And he's like, "No, no, no, no." So she's more of a cautious person than I am. So if she was out there, it'd probably be more dangerous for everybody else.
Yeah, it's way more fun.
Yeah.
We'll be bad influences if you need us. Just let us know. Not a
I'll
problem.
let her. She'll listen to this, and you can tell her.
No problem.
Her name's Samantha. Call her out.
See what she
Hi,
needs.
Samantha.
That's right. Hello. What she needs to do is if she does need to learn how to drive a stick, she needs to learn how to drive a stick, not from you. Just doesn't work.
Yeah, that's what I keep hearing. Don't ever teach your wife how to drive stick. Don't teach your wife how to snow ski. All these things.
Yeah, I did that too. That's no fun.
Didn't
Anyway,
work.
no,
Didn't work.
no, they really don't do it for snowboarding. That was death. Anyway,
Uh,
what town are you near where you're living?
I'm so we're right on the border of South Carolina and Georgia. So Augusta, Georgia, we're right beside
Okay.
that where they host the Masters. But we're kind of my town is Edgefield, kind of close to Aiken, South Carolina, where they
Okay.
do horse racing. So
Yep.
we got all kind of fun things out here.
Yep. That's we have a couple people who listen to the podcast that are down there. They would love to teach her how to drive a stick. So there's no excuses.
There you go.
That's right. We can figure something out. So, sir, you have gotten to the point in the podcast where we entertain you. No, it's not entertaining. Where we badger you with questions from our Fast and Furious Storytime questions.
Oh, okay. All right.
Miss Vicki, do you want to start?
Yeah. I would. So we're just gonna harass you a little bit.
It's fun.
It is. Um, what was your first car and what was the worst car you've ever had?
First car I ever had was a 1992, maybe, or 1990 Geo Prism. So not the Metro, which is iconic. This was the Geo Prism, just the
Mhm.
four-door sedan. So that was pretty terrible. I was kind of hoping my dad was going to let me get a Mustang, but no,
It's so
we
close
went
to
to
a prism.
that was close. We went to the Geo Prism, and that would probably fall under one of the worst cars I've ever owned. And I even owned a Volkswagen Bug, and I would still say the Geo Prism was worse.
You know, it was nicknamed prison. So, I mean, part of it.
Hmm.
So, of the 3 races you've been to, what car would you want to jump into and race in?
Hmm. Yeah, the Miata's gonna. This is the one I want to race. I think I feel safer in the Subaru, but I want to get better at the Miata. I think the Miata. I think I have to get better for the Miata's sake.
Okay,
So I have to give it
I
to its
asked
potential.
I asked the question poorly. What of the competitors' cars would you want to get into?
Oh, competitors' cars.
Sorry.
Ooh, that's good. Um, there's a lot. I think one of my favorites that I see might be that BMW wagon with the LS engine in it. That thing is
Mhm.
so ridiculous. It's so cool. I tried to find them at the block party this year, but I couldn't find them to talk to them to tell them to pop the hood, let me see what's all going on. But that one would be fun. That one or the pink Civic from Duff Beer. That one's got like a super awesome cooling suit setup
Mm-hmm.
that you could just be in there and feel cool for 5 hours if it's like 150 degrees outside. That would be nice.
Hmm. Plus, they give you liquids when you're done.
That's right. Yeah, that's a very generous team.
Hmm.
Yeah, this year it's unfortunate. I think one of them had their trailer and stuff stolen from the hotel they were staying at.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Save that
not
for
cool.
the wrap up video of 24 CMP.
Oh, I think did we watch that one where the trailer
No,
got
it's not out
stolen?
yet. Not out.
Somebody stole the trailer. I guess it wasn't locked down, huh?
That's right. And it was one of the crew members. He had like a lot of his equipment and stuff. Like they had the car and everything for the race, but a lot of good equipment got stolen, but not the beer.
Oh, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, okay. What is your most memorable breakdown and of all time?
Mm, short of you talking about for lemons, or you talking about just in general?
Oh, just all of it.
All the breakdowns. I think Halloween. I was with one of my friends doing a Halloween, um, coming back from a Halloween party, and we broke down on the side of the road because his car overheated. We're about 2 miles away from the place we were going to stay. And so we had to we had to walk 2 miles in Halloween costumes, trying to flag down somebody to let us hitchhike. But, dressed up as Jimi Hendrix, nobody was going to slow down for hitchhikers on Halloween, understandably. So,
Mhm.
yeah, that one's hard to get past. That one's funny, but that was still pretty miserable.
Okay. What is your favorite car movie or car from a movie of all time?
Ooh. I need to watch more car movies. After this, I need somebody to recommend me some great car movies.
We've had a
There's
few
always
hundred,
there's
so if you need some lists, you can waste your time listening.
there's always favorites like who wouldn't want to drive the Ford GT from Ford versus Ferrari. But I really enjoyed Baby Driver, and I
Oh,
don't
that
know if
was
a
fun.
lot of that was just CGI, but just watching somebody just run just a street style car, just the way it could be driven, just seems funner to me.
Hmm. I think most of that was real. I'm not
Okay,
sure all of it was real, but I'm pretty sure most of
yeah.
it was. Miss Vicki.
Hmm. Yeah. Let me see. What's a good one? What was your favorite turn when you were racing so far?
My favorite turn.
Or your favorite track in general so far of what you've done so
of
far?
of both of them.
Well, okay, which one did he like the most?
Oh gosh. Every race has just been memorable in different ways. I think so far my favorite has probably been the second year. That was CMP 2023, because I think we ran the longest. I think we ran the hardest, and we kind of saw the most potential that year. That was probably some of my fastest track times, the longest I stayed in a car. So far, that's going to be good. That's probably going to be my best. So,
Hmm.
but we'll see what happens in December this year, 24.
Sounds good. Okay. What is the best car color and what is the worst car color?
Oh gosh. Okay. So guilty. Let's say the most boring car color is white, right? White, gray, black. I don't want any more black cars, but always the black cars are the cheapest because they're the worst car color. So therefore, those are the ones that I buy the most.
The most
So
they
that's
have them
why
the most.
that's right. 'Cause I'm always trying to get the best car that I can, at the lowest price. So black just, I'll sacrifice paint for mileage. So I hate black. I'm very kosher or very partial to bright colors. I like reds. I like oranges. I like green, yellow, all those. They're all good.
Okay.
Get something bright. I'm tired of seeing boring cars in the parking lots and the highways.
Hmm.
So, what is that car that got away?
Hmm. Um, oddly enough, I I had a V6 Mustang when I was in high school, which was just the right amount of power. It was too much power for me in high school, but it felt like it was awesome. You get a slightly underpowered muscle car in high school and it's a 5 speed. It's that was a lot of fun, especially for that time in my life. If I had any more power, I probably would have gotten myself in a lot more trouble. But
Mhm.
had plenty enough power just to spin wheels. Um, I eventually got me a 2004 Mustang GT, which I really enjoyed when I was in the Air Force. But the fourth gear synchro um, was like getting close to going out, so that kind of spoiled that car for me the whole year that I owned it. So then I bought later I bought an RX-8 thinking, rotary sounds fun. Let's do this. And I never actually got to drive that on the street because rotary.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of my list of three.
All right. What is your race car number and why? And do your cars have names?
Okay, so first race car, we had the number 25 because Ecto, the Subaru was a 2.5, so it seemed fitting.
Mhm.
So we ran that for 2 years, and this year we're number two because I don't know if there's a good Ninja Turtle number to go with this. I think maybe the comic book came out in 87, but I think we looked and I couldn't find 87 or 88, 88
Mhm.
being the year I was born. So we just went with a low, easy single digit number that was just seemed a little bit iconic. So we're just number two. It's boring, but
Those are hard ones to get, the single digits.
yeah.
So, what's the one thing that no one knows about you that would surprise them?
Mm,
Mario Kart champion? No.
He conquered the Rainbow Bridge.
and I've never been that good at anything. I've always been mediocre at everything. So I don't know.
You're a,
Um,
you're a generalist.
Yeah, I'm okay at everything, and I'm not good at anything. Not great at anything. We'll say that.
Okay. All right. No pressure, but what's the coolest car ever?
Ooh, coolest, coolest car ever. Golly, can any car guy actually answer this?
We're a
Every women's
hard-hitting
car is the
podcast, you know.
coolest car ever. My car is the coolest car ever.
Well, it is a turtle. I mean, you know.
Yeah. Um, yeah. I think I'm gonna have to pass on this
Well,
one. I'm honestly drawing a blank because you think of
it's
what is
okay.
a cool car. Now there's expensive cars. I've always been fond of Dodge Vipers growing up. That was always my poster wall car. But
That,
yeah,
that
I guess I'll
counts.
say Dodge Viper. Well, yeah,
That's all
we'll
right.
take the cop out on that.
Excellent. Miss Vicky, you get last one.
Which, if you could drive a car for the rest of your life, both daily or race from one decade from the past, what would it be?
Hmm. Is it okay? So it can be a car that's made now, right?
Oh yeah.
You can pick
Okay.
any 10-year period of cars, and that's it for the rest
Oh,
of your life.
what decade of cars?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Oh, hands down the ooh, actually, can I go half decade to half decade?
Sure.
95 to
Any
oh
10
05.
years.
This is your podcast.
Yeah, let's go 95 to 2005.
Oh,
I think that's the my prime years.
all right. 95,
Okay.
2005. He has a lot of cars to choose from in there.
Yes, he does.
All right, very well. Sir, it was a pleasure meeting you finally. We're sorry we had the delay. I saw your car on one post and quickly answered a question that you had, hopefully in a way that was helpful. But I saw the theme and I was like, oh, this guy needs to be on the podcast. We need to have this guy. So thank you for coming on. If people want to keep track of you and see how well this goes, maybe Road Atlanta this year, how would they follow you along?
So I've got a Instagram page dedicated to the car and the car build for the Ghostbuster and this one. Currently that's called the Lemon underscore Yata, YATA.
Mhm.
If you want to find me on there, reach me on there. So I think I had another team come up to me at CMP. They're not a team yet, but they were considering building a Miata. So I just kind of reached out to them and I was like, hey, reach out to me if you need any kind of build advice. I've welded this roll cage in. Anybody needs advice on what it takes to go from absolutely nothing to building a team and a car, reach out to me. I can give you some bad advice on what to do, what not to do.
It sounds like our podcast. Yep. We figure if we do it wrong, you don't have to.
That's right. I made the mistakes for you. So learn from them or duplicate them and post them again.
Indeed. Well, I can't wait to get out to a race and meet you in person, and as we like to refer to it as the meet space. And I would love to see your beautiful bride racing with you when we meet. It's a goal of mine. We have to figure out how to do this, Miss Vicki. We might be going south again. It's okay.
There you go.
We've done Road
Yeah,
Atlanta.
if y'all do come south, reach out, let us know. We'd be excited to see y'all, meet y'all in person.
Okay.
It'd be fun. And thank you for coming on, sir.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure to be here and to talk with y'all. Thank y'all for letting me be on the podcast.
Thank you for coming.